What is up, my loves, and happy Sunday. I am so excited to be here with you all. To all the dads out there, happy Father's Day. I hope you have a great one. For everybody else, thanks for joining me. This is the first time in a long time I think I've done like a very traditional woo-woo Sunday, and I'm really excited to get back to it. I think for a long time I've like danced around the woo-woo, and today we're diving right in. So if you haven't joined me for a woo-woo Sunday before, it's something super duper different than what I normally coach to as a hairstylist business coach. We usually talk about things like referrals, making more money, marketing as a hairstylist, social media, all that good stuff. On Sundays, we take a step back and we really talk about diving deep into how to get into the right mindset to take your business forward. Hi, Heather. So glad you're here. Nicole, welcome. So glad to have you. Tracy, welcome. I'm glad to have you. I came to realize over this last week that the woo-woo part of how I coach is what really makes me unique. And for the past few weeks with Woo-Woo Sunday, I've almost been like avoiding it and not diving deep into how powerful I think this is and what a difference I think it can make in your business. And I'm really excited to like refocus and get back into it because I think this is the key piece that most people are missing, and it's what I'm like so overly passionate about. So I'm really excited that you're here. So what we're going to be talking about today is 5 mindset shifts or practices that you can apply to your business today to really take you to that next level so that you're in a place where you're not telling yourself, I'm not good enough, I'll never get there, I would be able to achieve that if this, that, or the other. It gets rid of all of that stuff, and so we're really going to dive in. Sean, I'm excited too. So let me introduce myself and then we'll roll. My name is Britt, and I'm a social media and marketing strategist just for hairstylists. So my goal is to make your life as a stylist a little bit easier, a little bit more organized, help you to spend your time and money in the right places, quit wasting it in the wrong places, so you can grow your clientele the quicker, faster, easier way using today's technology. It's never been easier to grow a clientele. You just have to understand the tools at hand to do so, and I'm here to share some of those things with you today. If you like what we're talking about, as always, you can give me the Facebook thumbs up. You can let those hearts roll, but my favorite part is connecting with you all. So keep the comments flowing and rolling. And like I said, Woo-Woo Sunday is not for everybody. So if what I'm talking about today doesn't hit home for you, it's totally okay. Hang out with me throughout the rest of the week. I talk about very strategic business building skills for stylists. So today we're actually getting back to my roots, and we're talking about a little book called The Secret. So if you haven't read it before, it's totally okay. This will still apply. Let me just tell you what it is really briefly. If you go to Amazon and Google The Secret, it will come right up. It's a book that came out, I should have looked up the year before I came on, somewhere around 2007. No, it's before I got engaged. So it must have been around 2004, something like that, 2005. And it was kind of the first book of its kind in recent years that really talked about the power of positivity and the power of the universe and the effect that it can have on you. And when we talk about the power of the universe, you can hear that word however you want to. So if that to you is a higher power or whatever that is, it's totally cool. But to me, I just call it the power of the universe, the powers that be, and it is whatever it is to you, it is to me too. That's all good. That book I need to reread. So I should have brought my copy. I read The Secret at least every year on vacation when we go to Tahoe. It's my annual read. It's a quickie. You can read it in a matter of a couple of hours. It's not a book where you like sit down and read it. I mean, I read it cover to cover, but each page only sometimes has like 10 or 15 words on it. It's different. It's about like having a new mental state, so it's not like this heavy read. And by the time you're done reading it, you're just in this new headspace. And I have been living my life by The Secret since around 2005 probably, but I really started to embrace it for what it's worth. Probably, it was after my dad passed away. So it was probably, I don't know, 2009, 2010. I really shifted my life and really embraced this, and I cannot even tell you the dramatic effect it's had on my life. And so I want to talk about the 5 principles that you can apply to your business that are going to really take you to the next level. So these are all kind of my interpretation, my biggest takeaways from that mindset of The Secret, the power of positivity, if you want to call it that, and what I've applied to my life that has made the greatest impact. So number 1, your current thoughts are building your reality. And this was the biggest thing for me to change because, and I think a lot of it was being like a young 20-something person, you're living in this world where the reality is you don't have a lot of money. Maybe you just moved out of your parents' house. Maybe you couldn't even move out of your parents' house yet. I was a young, at the time, single mom. My boyfriend, who's now my husband. There's a lot going on, and sometimes it's hard not to get negative. I was trying to figure out where my career was going, and it's really difficult not to let those negative thoughts creep in. When you have a client who comes in and ruins your day, you're like, what am I even doing here? You go home and she ruins the whole next week because you're like, that darn Darlene, she's awful. She ruined my whole week. That is dragging you down so hardcore. And so when we can get control of our thoughts and realize that everything you think is real. You are creating your own reality each and every day. It's really, really powerful. So I wrote down some examples. When you say things like, I am not good enough, you're right, you're not good enough. And you're affirming to yourself, as you're cutting that hair, I'm not good enough, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm lost, I'm confused, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. Your reality or your being or your energy or whatever you want to think is saying, okay, she's not good enough, she's not good enough, she's not good enough. And it becomes the reality. So you are creating that. And the more you say it, the more it becomes true. So instead of saying, I am not good enough, we have to learn to say, I am exactly where I need to be, and I am growing, and I am exactly as talented as I need to be. And living in that mindset brings you to that place. Here's another one. I'm broke, or I don't have enough money. Funny thing happens is people who say things like, I am broke, I don't have enough money, are also the people who say, as soon as money comes in, it's like it's going out. Murphy's Law, right? You get that tax refund, if you still get tax refunds, and then your car breaks down. And you have to spend $2,800 to fix your car. Well, there goes the tax refund. Yes, because you've been telling yourself, I'm broke, I don't have enough money, I can't get ahead. And as you tell yourself those things, they become your reality. And the universe takes care of that. Oh, she's broke, she's broke, she's broke, she's broke. And it makes sure that you are always broke because you're telling yourself that that's your reality. I know this is a strange concept. I know it sounds crazy, but man, when you start living your life this way, it's unbelievable. Here's another one. I'm tired. You know those people who are always saying like, I'm tired. I have 2 kids. I'm tired. I have my family drains me. I'm tired. You will be tired and you will find things that drain you versus saying, how blessed am I to chase 2 children all day? What an incredible gift that is. And allowing that to lift you up, which it can. It's totally your choice to feel the way that you want to, right? You can't control what happens to you. You can only control your reaction to it. So some things that I like to say, and these are affirmations. So if you've ever heard me talk about my affirmations book before, this is not it. This is a notebook. But I have a notebook that every day I write just a few affirmations in. And I also say them verbally to myself. And I'll tell you how I started saying them and what was comfortable to me in that in a second too. But I'm living in abundance is something I always say. And I've shared this with you guys before too. Abundance to me is not financial. The secret, Deanna. Abundance to me is not financial. It's living in a world where you have what you need and more. So I'm in an abundance of love, and I think that's really had a huge impact on my marriage. I can't even tell you. I'm living in abundance with my children. Like I look at the bond we have, and it's more than I ever could have wished of and dreamed for. It's so different than the bond I had with my family. It's incredible. So I live in abundance is something I say all the time, and I really do feel like I live in a world of more than I need, and it's such a blessing. Number 2, I'm healthy, and I really do feel like I'm healthy. And it's amazing, just simple things like that and the effect that it can have on you versus like eating badly and be like, it's just too hard to change, right? If you just say I'm healthy, it's amazing. Like you make different choices at the grocery store. You actually choose to be physically active because you're telling yourself all the time, I am healthy. I live a healthy lifestyle. And it's just amazing to see the impact it has on you. I'm lovable was a really big one. If you're somebody who Cruz, I think it's more than being content. I almost think content is like, well, it's good enough. And nothing should ever be good enough. So when you're living in the secret, it's always like everything to the 10th degree because then everything is in perfect balance versus being like, it's good. I'm happy. I'm content. I'm never content. I'm always like craving the more, and it's always coming to me in the perfect balance and exactly what I need. So it's always pushing me forward, if that makes sense. I know this is a weird concept, you guys. You have to go with me on this and maybe listen to this one again and read the book. Okay, I'm lovable. So if you're somebody who feels like you don't relate to other people well, or your communication lacks, or you're not confident, I'm lovable is a really good one. And the more often you say I'm lovable, the more you actually find things about yourself that are freaking lovable, that are special, and you're like, I'm actually really funny, or this about me is really lovable. So the more you can say that, the more helpful it is. Okay, so your current thoughts are building your reality. That was number 1. Okay, we got through number 1, you guys. Number 2 is becoming aware. So becoming aware of your thoughts is actually really difficult. So like as I am saying this, I have other thoughts going on. Like I can hear my 2-year-olds in the background, and that thought is distracting to me. So being aware of your thoughts and having control over them is skill. And it's something I think I've definitely become better at over time, but it is really difficult. And what happens is negative thoughts creep in, and it's very easy to go down that rabbit hole. In the Thriver Society Facebook group this last week, there's a few threads that became negative, and I said, hey guys, no more. We're not doing this anymore because, and I use that as an example, but it could be in the back break room of your salon, right? Negativity breeds itself. So when you have negative thoughts running through your mind, it becomes all-consuming. Negativity is like a hungry beast, and positivity is a little harder to come by, and you have to kind of fight to let that get into your wavelength. So always being aware of your thoughts. So what I suggest is doing a check-in twice a day. And I try and do my check-in in the morning and at night. I always wake up, I'll get to gratitude in a minute, but I always wake up very thankful, and I try and shift to a positive place no matter what. And then at the end of the day, I do what I call clearing, where I let anything that happened during the day go. If the kids give me a hard time, because life isn't perfect, right? That's not what this is about. If the kids give me a hard time, I say, yeah, but how blessed am I to have these two beautiful kids, even though they make me crazy sometimes. It's such a blessing, and I look back on the happy memories, and I shift that, and I clear any negativity that was there. If I had a bad work day, I clear it and let it go. If somebody gave me a hard time, they're probably going through their own hard time, and I can't take on their negativity. I have to let them have that. I have to wish them well and hope that they work through it, and I have to move on in my own space. I can't let that dwell and linger and have resentment for weeks and years. And you know, people who are like, well, 7 years ago, she did this, that, or the other thing. You have to let that go. You have to let that go, because the more negativity you let fester, the more you'll attract. And that's part of the secret too, is you 100% like attract what you are putting out. So the more you put out into the world, the more you'll get back. And if you're spewing a bunch of negativity and you talk crap and you say terrible things and you have a bad outlook on life, that will come back to you tenfold. Whereas if you look at the world in a really great way, a really beautiful way, and you think good things about people, like, man, she must be going through a hard time. I really hope she finds whatever it is she's looking for. You'll just be amazed at how things change in your world really positively. Okay, so becoming aware and doing that twice a day self-check-in is really, really important. And clearing at the end of the day if you can, and that's a skill. And I know a lot of people said that they were having a hard time with that. Clearing took me a long time. So know that this is not necessarily an overnight change, but it's a shift in the right direction. Okay, number 3 is being grateful. So this is something, Lori says it's so much easier to be negative, but it's worth it to live in positivity. I so agree with you, Lori. It's really easy to be negative. Positivity is hard. It's a skill, and it takes practice. So I appreciate that you said that. Okay. So be grateful. And that's something that I am really freaking good at, but it took me a very, very long time. And I'm in a place now where I am, people say I say thank you too much, almost to the point where it becomes insincere until they really know me. And then they're like, damn, this girl is really thankful. Like, I'm really thankful. I don't take anything for granted. I'm also somebody who doesn't believe anything happens by accident. I think everybody who comes into my life for a reason. Everybody's teaching me a lesson, and I'm really thankful for everything that crosses my plate. I was at a group coaching event in May, and I don't know if she'll ever see this, and she probably won't know the impact it had on me, but part of the group coaching is we get up and we talk about things, and I was sharing something, and 15 people all offered me feedback. And after they said what they said, I said, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna take that to heart and think about it. And that was one day. The next day, at the very end of the event, we were all going home and saying goodbye. And one of the women was like, can I tell you that was something that was so impactful to me? When we were all getting up and sharing what we were sharing, the way that you thanked everybody was more sincere than I think I've ever seen anybody thank anybody before. It was like shocking. And I was like, well, I meant it. Like, that was so sincere. She's like, I think that's why it shocked me, is because I could see how sincere that was. And that was so profound to me. I will never forget that, because it isn't something I like put on. It really is how I feel. I am very thankful for everything that happens in my life, good, bad, or indifferent. And not all those people had like super nice things to say where they're like, yeah, you're great. Like, some of the feedback was hard, but I was still really thankful for it. And living in a world where you're just like thankful for anything that could happen to you is really amazing. And we're going to get to the next step too. But I want you to practice being thankful and being grateful. It's hard, and it's something that takes skill. And that's something I write in my secret journal too, is like how thankful and grateful I am for the life that I am living. We're just blessed to be here, right? Okay, number 4, Know your life's path and purpose and believe you can achieve all of your goals. And this is a hard one because the negativity creeps in, and sometimes we think like, I want to be an amazing stylist. I want to be a talented stylist who makes X amount of money and lives whatever lifestyle. I want to be a salon owner. I want to be an educator. I want to be a platform artist. I want to be a whatever. It doesn't matter. Fill in the blank. But then the negativity comes in and you're like, but who's going to fund that? I don't even have the time to learn how to do that. I'll never get to that level. My background was difficult. So-and-so doesn't support me. I don't live in a city where that's possible. None of that is true. None of it. Those are all limiting beliefs. They're not realities. They're fears, and fear creeps into your head as a way to prevent yourself from making crazy choices, right? From jumping off a cliff or doing something crazy and irrational. Fear comes in. And doing things like owning a salon is similar to jumping off a cliff. Any salon owners in here will know it's basically the same thing. Free falling, right? And hoping that you land somewhere softly when you do. So when we think about doing these crazy goals that are in line with our life purpose, fear really holds you back. And getting to a place where you're like, I want to do this, and I don't want to do this, I'm going to do it. And you stop saying things like, well, maybe one day, or hopefully, or what I'd like to do is, and you start saying things like, I'm going to be an educator, when I'm a salon owner, it looks like this, and really starting to create a vision. That's when it becomes a reality. And so when I say things like quit being a dreamer and start being a doer, this is what I'm talking about. Hi, Lisa Beautiful. Happy Sunday. Happy Father's Day to your hubby. When I start saying things like quit dreaming and start doing, that's what I'm talking about. Start building that reality. Stop saying things like, well, I hope, or one day, or maybe if. That will never come true, because what you're doing, going back to lesson 1, is you're telling your thoughts one day, one day, one day, one day. And does one day ever come? Never. One day is an indefinite time in the future. Whereas if you say things like, I am a salon owner, my salon will be here, it will look like this, the people I hire will look like that, then you're building a reality. This is hard, and I know it's a weird concept, but it's a total game changer. And you start making different life choices, because now you're not going to blow $2,000 on a spontaneous trip to Vegas because you're like, wait, I'm a salon owner and I'm going to need to buy a new station soon, so I have to be a little bit smarter. And so you just start living your life in a really different way. It's super powerful. And just believing that whatever it is you want, you can have. Really important, because you can. I've met the most successful people I've ever met come from the shittiest backgrounds. It's like the craziest thing ever. So to think like you have to have this, that, or the other to achieve success is junk. I almost think sometimes it hinders you to come from like a privileged background, whereas when you have to work and hustle and the cards are maybe stacked against you a little bit, it really does help. It's interesting. Okay. And then number 5, and this is one of the hardest ones, and it's something I've only recently, I think, gotten good at, because it is really hard, is finding joy in failure. And what I tell you guys all the time is I have learned more from my failures than from my successes. And I have definitely felt some major failure and gone through some major hard time. And now I can look back on those things and be like, damn, that brought me to this place I am today. I'm thankful that happened, because if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have made this choice. And you have to realize that every failure is the universe pointing you in the right direction, right? When one door closes, another door opens. And I've shared this with you guys before. I thought for sure I wanted to be a salon owner, and about 5 years ago I worked really hard to try and open a salon, and it didn't work, and it didn't work, and it didn't work. And I can look back now and be like, holy crap, thank God that didn't work, because that is not my life's purpose. It would not have led to where I know my heart is and where I know I need to be. I would never have gotten there. And so when I look at that failure and I look at those doors closing over and over and over, it was the universe saying like, nope, that's not you. It's not you. It's not you. David said, no failures, just discoveries. Well said, David. That's so true. Sarah says, I've definitely been doing this and it has improved my client numbers, etc. You're amazing. You're amazing too. So I want you to, this is one to listen back to and maybe come back to in another 6 months and just refresh and revisit, because this is 100% a practice and something that takes time. I'm still a constant work in progress over it, and it's not something that happens overnight. But man, is it life-changing. So the power of positivity is crucial in everything, and those who embrace it really find so much joy in just taking control of their life in this way. So much love to you guys. Like I said, happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. Happy Sunday, you guys, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, loves.